And we're back on the Liberal Oasis radio show. This is Bill Scher. If you missed any of this broadcast, you can always check out the audio podcast and videocast at LiberalOasis.com throughout the week. And every Tuesday, please come on out to Northampton's Drinking Liberally at the Northampton Brewery every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Hang out with old friends, meet new folk, talk politics, don't talk politics. Good times had by all. With us on the phone, one of the finest and sharpest bloggers covering issues in the Latino community, Marisa Treviño, blogger at Lista, latinalista.net. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
I always make sure of the .net. So I was mentioning before the broadcast, maybe I should go into a little bit more detail. One thing that George Bush and Karl Rove wanted to do coming into office, they seemed to recognize that the Republican Party can't sustain itself long-term as a whites-only party. Demographically, they can't maintain majority status with that. And so they made some attempts to reach out, arguably superficial attempts, but they've seemed to be overwhelmed by the anti-immigrant nativist sentiment that's widespread in the conservative base. And now you have Republicans that won't even go to a Latino-hosted presidential debate. So how set back is the Republican Party in gaining the trust and respect of the Latino community?
Oh, they have set themselves way back. And the sad thing is, you have people who know better. They're supposed to be politically wise. And how wise a move is this for them to constantly not acknowledging the existence, of Latino constituents. And, you can argue, well, they didn't want to go on the Univision debate because maybe they felt that they were entering into enemy territory and they didn't want to be ambushed with questions that dealt with issues that, they're not in favor of. But I know that there have been other outreach efforts by Latino groups, and the response has been the same, more or less. I mean, you always get one or two exceptions, like you'll get McCain will accept or Romney will accept, but for the most part, most of them are just kind of shunning the Latino constituents, and it's a bad move on their part.
Well, it seems that it almost answers its own question. If you won't go to the debate because your positions on issues are going to be summarily rejected by the audience, you've lost before you started, it seems like.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, and even myself on Latina Lista, I have a section that I call guest voz, and voz, of course, in English means voice. And I kind of hand over the platform of the blog to that person to let them just kind of talk to my readers about what's important to them. And I decided that I was going to reach out to all the presidential candidates, and I did that. And I heard back from the majority of Democrats, not all of the candidates, but most of them, like Clinton and Richardson and Dodd and so forth. But when it came to the Republicans, and I sent out the letter twice to all the Republican presidential campaigns, I got one response back, and that was from Mitt Romney's group. And everybody else has just kind of ignored the request. And so this will be talked about. This will be blogged about. The Latino blogosphere is growing, and we realize we have a voice, and we want to have equal time at the table. And so basically we're organizing ourselves to do just that.
What are the issues that you're expecting more attention on? Or is there a sense, because I'm sure there's some Republicans that say, I don't want to have to play identity politics and have to pander to each individual community just on the basis of skin color or ethnicity. But are there specific issues that the Latino community is expecting to hear candidates on that they aren't hearing much about?
But, politicians have always done that. They've always, and, they never called it pandering. It's called addressing the issues. Every demographic, even the genders, we have issues that are important to us. And as voting constituents, we have the right to hear how these people who want to be our leaders and be our representatives in Washington are going to represent us. And so to say, that they're just going to turn, they're going to label this as pandering to a specific group, that's nonsense. Because we have every right to be represented as any other group in the United States.
Now, on the nativist conservative right, it seems to be immigration possibly is the most important issue of all time. Tom Credo seems to think it's going to be the downfall of civilization if we have a single immigrant cross the border. Is that the main issue in the Latino community as well, or are there other issues that are getting shoved aside because there's so much focus on the immigration issue?
And this is something that I can't even repeat enough times. Not all Latinos are the same, basically. We have two developing communities in this country. We have Latinos who are citizens who have been here for generations, whose issues are not unlike what you consider mainstream American issues, like education, health care. Those are issues that concern every American. But then, of course, you do have the immigration issue, and that does affect a large proportion of the Latino community that are either undocumented or are recent immigrants or who are first, second-generation Latinos. Because even the first, second-generation Latinos, though they are citizens, they can remember or they can still have ties with family members who came over and who may not be citizens. And so there really is a split within this one community. We're not this homogenous Latino community. There are definite issues that resonate with each side of this community. So when you're talking about immigration, it used to be that immigration, basically Latinos who had been here for generations, it was kind of a separate issue. Okay, that deals with recent arrivals. That doesn't deal with me. But what's happening now, because of this backlash from the Republican Party and what we call the extremist conservatives, the average person on the street can't tell what generation Latino we are. They can't tell if we're second, third generation or if we just arrived yesterday. And so what's happening, every Latino who looks a certain way, which is brown-skinned or speaks with an accent or whatnot, is getting caught up in this net. And so by virtue of forcing, because of their stand on immigration, they are forcing this issue on a portion of the Latino population that didn't really embrace it in the beginning. But now they don't have any choice but to embrace it because it's affecting them directly.
So it's been, has it been unifying to the community?
In a sense, yes, it has.